What's up YouTube, this is Collect Pokemon and welcome back to another video. So in this video, we're going to talk about my investment failure in Pokemon card. Yep, I am going to go and talk about a bunch of failure I have on investment. A lot of people will think that, hey, collect Pokemon, investing in Pokemon is easy. You just buy it, hold on to it and, the price will rise. And there are times when it doesn't actually go the way you want. And in a bunch of video, I think I'm going to share you the rationale I had back then, what I did, and how and why I was wrong when looking back in hindsight. Remember, these videos are simply my personal experience. I'm not telling you to follow me to invest. These sort of stuff. Now, that's just a general disclaimer. Right, so today I'm gonna talk about single card, especially playability of single card. So there was a time when I initially started investing in single cards, or more like flipping in single cards, usually to flip it based on the player base. I still remember when I first started Pokemon, it was a price difference between Hong Kong and the US. There's a lot of card stores, horrible card store back then, that sells cards for a super expensive price, much higher than the international market price. And then they go and tell the player base or tell the people, oh yeah, Hong Kong has its own market, so it doesn't matter, you can buy it or not. It was just really bad. Like the card store now are like nice and surface and good stuff. But back then, those card store owners were horrible. I should tell you some stories about it. I was actually because of what I did, I was actually messaged by some of these so-called card store owner about it, and I'll tell you about it in a bit. So initially, I started out in the XY era. I still remember buying two cards. One is a Float Stone, and the other one is the Trainer's Mail. Back then, Float Stone and Trainer Mail were very, very playable cards. You pretty much need 4 of or 3 of them in every single deck. And so the player base is very, very, looking for these cards. A lot of these cards are selling for, in Hong Kong dollars, it was selling for like 70 Hong Kong dollar or something like that. Whereas in the States, Float Stone and Trainer Mail was still selling for like what? 60 Hong Kong dollar. It's, let's grab my calculator. Grabbing. 60 divided by, it's around like 750 US dollar per Float Stone. Around $7 to $10 for Float Stone and Trainer's Mail. Back then in the States, it was selling for like what, $2.99, something like that. So what did I do? Basically, I bought a lot of them on Throw and Toad, like 50, 60, 70. Shipped them back to Hong Kong, and I started selling them for like what, $5 each. So basically, people was buying it for cheaper. I was making a great profit by flipping these single cards. And so that's how I initially started my Pokemon business. It was mainly just flipping single cards, especially flipping playable single cards back from the US to Hong Kong. It worked really well for a while. And then I started to learn how to speculate the different cards that are considered to be playable and will become playable based on looking at the Japanese market. I think there is a website called TCG Limitless or Limitless TCG, something along that line, which actually shows the deck composition of many Japanese players. And because of those cards, what I was able to understand is that, oh, okay, so these are the Japanese top cut deck, and basically these are the cards they use. And back then, when those cards are very popular, the US version has not gone up in price yet. And the reason for that is because there is a delay between the Japanese set release versus the English set release. So I still remember that time it was Dragon Majesty. I think when Unbroken Bond was released, the cards in Dragon Majesty, especially the Splint, the Fire Splint, the Firestone, was really, really popular in Japan. And I knew that Fire deck is going to be the meta, and because of that, those stones will go up in price. So, I went on TCG Players and, Throw and Toad and just buy out all of them at like 50 cents a piece or something like 20, 30 cents a piece. It was super cheap. Bought all of them. And then later on, I sold it back to the US. Great profit, you know, it was selling for like $8, $9, $10 a piece. So yeah, that felt good. So I was like, okay, this might actually work. And I was buying like hundreds of these, so it was good profit. Yeah. But later on, I tried to replicate this with another card. And here's a card. Green's Exploration. So Green's Exploration was a very playable card in Japan. And, you know, by doing what I always do, I'm like, oh, it's a very playable card in Japan. So in English, you know, this must be very popular eventually. So what I did was, you know, I started to hunt down a lot of the Green's Exploration on TCG Player, Throw and Toad. Again, you know, do the same old, same old. I bought around like, what, like 200. I mean, like, look, seriously, they're all Green's Exploration. I bought like 200 of these, thinking that, hey, you know, when the new set hits, when the new next set hits, I think this was Unbroken Bond. And I think when it was a Mewtwo tag team set. I think Unified Mind. When Unified Mind hit, you know, this is gonna be a hit. You know, I'm gonna make such decent profit out of it. So I was like, yeah, okay, let's do it. So I bought them all, you know, nicely packaged, organized it, wait for the set release. Oh, nothing happened. The price is still low. Wait a little for some sort of competition to take place. Nothing happened. Price is still low. And I was like, wait a second, why isn't this moving? Apparently, it doesn't work all the time. So, yeah, the price is still at like, what, 30 cents right now? Actually, it never went above that $1 mark. And to be honest, if it never went up about the $1 mark, there's really no point reselling these because, you know, the platform cost is going to cost a lot of money, the shipping cost, blah, 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 blah. So I ended up holding on to 200 Green's Exploration as bulk cards that I still keep to remind myself, CP, don't make that same mistake. So yeah, that's that. So this is one of the failed investment that I have, and why investing or short-term flipped, especially in the playable market, can be very, very dangerous because it really depends on the market mentality, and the method changes all the time. And it changes very relatively and very quickly within like a 3 weeks period or something. So with the problem of me being in Hong Kong and most of the player base of the English set is in the US, it's very difficult to move these cards. And especially if I start to pile up hundreds and 200 copies of this, it makes moving these very hard. You have to allow time for the market to absorb a lot of these single cards. So even if these cards went up to $5, $10, you know, I can't release all 200, 500, or whatever number I have back into the market because it would just crash the market. So this kind of investment into a large quantity of cheap, playable, speculative cards can be very dangerous because, you know, eventually you might actually hold on or end up holding on to many of these cards. And unlike Pokemon cards, trainer cards are unlikely to go up in price in the long run because, you know, collectors don't usually collect a page of Green's Exploration if it is not even a full art. But if it was like a common Pikachu card, yeah, there will be some people looking for a Pikachu card, or they want a cheap Pikachu card to put. And I think that those single cards will have a much higher potential to go up in price than just single white bulk cards. Not to mention, these are not the reverse holo version. And if the reverse holo version are not expensive compared to this regular, a lot of people are definitely going to go for the reverse holo first. So yeah, and Unbroken Bond was actually printed a lot. Actually, Unbroken Bond was a set that was printed a lot. Not simply just because of the booster box, but the Elite Trainer box had a huge print run, and that's why there's a lot of these just lying around. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I want to share you my one of my many failed investment experience, and hopefully you guys learned something, or maybe you guys did something similar. So let me know in the comment section whether you guys did something similar or not. One last thing, we're reaching the end of the month, so at the beginning of the next month, the Patreon will charge you guys for the month of August, and I will send out the cards and mystery package to you. So if you haven't joined the Patreon, remember to join now. You won't get charged until August 1st. So yeah, go for it. Remember to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I promise I won't send you Green's Exploration. Anyway, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace. This is Collect Pokemon. Bye bye.